Hey guys, today we have a very unique smart deadbolt that not only allows you to unlock it from your phone and check status from wherever, but also has a total of 6 different ways of allowing you to open your door. So let's unbox it, check it out. I will review it over the next couple of weeks, and then I will check back in and give you a final review. So let's go ahead and get started. What's up guys, it's Drew from Taylor Tech. And on this channel we do smart home tech reviews, installations, and DIY guides. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. And at any time, check out the video description down below for show notes and product links for everything mentioned in this video. Okay, so this is the Ultra Lock Ubolt Pro. They have a few different products on the market right now. Like I said, I will have their information down in the description below, but this is their pro version of their smart deadbolt. And like I said, there's so many different ways to unlock the thing. Here's 4 options here, but there are other options as well that I will get further into down the road after I check this out for a while. So it does have an app, of course, and there is a bridge, which is optional. I don't see a reason why you would want this without the bridge. We have some install paperwork. Oh, and by the way, this is extremely good timing for me because I am in the process, as we speak, of replacing my front door. So I was going to get new hardware anyway. They reached out and sent me this Ultra Lock Smart Ubolt Pro, no charge for me. So this is not a sponsored video, but they did go ahead and send this out for me to review. So it looks like here we have the bridge. Yeah, this is the bridge that plugs in and allows this to speak to the deadbolt as well as it to speak to our Wi-Fi, and then therefore us over our mobile network. Here is the inside of the Ubolt Pro. It seems to be very well built, solid construction, all metal it feels like. Here is the outside unit. This is all metal as well. We got the fingerprint scanner in the middle and our digit display, as well as a button down here with the Ultra Lock logo. Included batteries. Comes with some keys, of course, for a backup. Just some more installation hardware. Comes with its own screwdriver. Strike plate for the deadbolt. And some more hardware, screws, everything we need. Here's the strike plate. And the included screwdriver. Okay, so like I said, I'm not going to go into too much setup details here or installation details, but I am going to go ahead and get this set up with the app so you can see the interface for the app itself, as well as how the setup process works. But I will go into more detail later after I have checked this out for a while and have actually installed it. So I'll put batteries into the top here for the inside unit. We have a red LED there. And this outside unit, I don't believe it is required for setup. We have this wire harness that plugs into the back here, but I'm guessing that we don't need that right now. We do need the app, so I will scan this QR code here and download the app. Now for the setup process, I would imagine we need the bridge as well as the inside unit, but we'll go ahead and go through that process in just a little bit. We also need to make sure our Bluetooth is turned on. Okay, so I created an account real quick, and we have the Ubolt Pro, so I'll select that one. Turn on Bluetooth of your phone, stay near the Ultra Lock. Okay, we're scanning, and it looks like we found it. So right there, Ubolt. Okay, so we need to create an admin code, so I will do that real quick. Take a picture for your lock. I would imagine this would be like a picture of the front door or something. Name your lock. I'll name it front door. Choose the location. Mine is like this. See, it just unlocked for us there. Okay, so we have our Ubolt set up, it looks like. We are connected via Bluetooth, don't forget that. We don't have our bridge set up yet. There we go. So, unlock, lock. So this is done through Bluetooth, obviously from the phone, not through Wi-Fi in any way. This will only work when you're near the door, but as you can see, it is working just fine. So let's go ahead and add the bridge as well, so we can control this via Wi-Fi away from the home. There's the bridge at the bottom there. We want to pair it to the front door. So we need to plug it in. We have a little light here. You may not be able to see it. It found the bridge, it looks like. It's got the MAC address listed there. And I will enter the SSID and password for my 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi network, which, by the way, is also the 5 gigahertz because I'm using the Netgear Orbi system and they cannot be split. So hopefully this will work. Most of my actually all of my devices have not had an issue with this. So it's testing the signal strength. Good, good. So far the setup is spot on. No issues whatsoever. Our indicator LED is flashing now. Now we just have to wait for the indicator to turn solid green. Okay, so after 3 or 4 minutes, the LED indicator did turn solid yellow for us, and I turned off Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so we can go ahead and try this out, simulating that we are away from home and away from the unit. And with just about zero latency at all, it is working just as well as it did with Bluetooth close by. So our bridge is working great for us. And now all we need to do is go ahead and get this installed on the door, and I will go into much more detail of all of the other settings and apps and methods and ways to unlock it and stuff like that. Not to mention all the other cool features that this guy has packed into it. So I'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Slam dunk, are you ready to make me? I'm in and I'm riding the fast lane. Don't let me down, I'm on fire. Does anyone else feel like a liar? It's all in your head and your mind. You just have to use it. Get up when you're done with this. Punch out and ride the fast lane. Into the light, into the fire. Does anyone else feel like a liar? It's all in your head and your mind. You just have to use it. Slam dunk, are you ready to meet me? Slam dunk, are you ready to meet me? It's all in your head and your mind. You just got to use it.
And we're back. It's been about 3 weeks since I installed the Ubolt Pro on my front door, and here I am giving my final conclusions of the product. So to start things off, installation went really well. I did have a couple hiccups with my particular installation with my door and my door jamb. As you may have saw, I had to use a chisel and chisel out some of the area for the strike for the deadbolt as well as the bolt itself on the door, but I would have had to do that with any lock I installed, smart or not. It went really well. I installed the whole thing other than chiseling out the little area I needed to in about 10 minutes, so not an issue at all. I didn't have any issues with it repairing to the bridge after I took it away from the desk and brought it upstairs for a couple of days before I actually installed it. I didn't have any issues like that. It paired right back up. Bluetooth works well, and so far so good. So let's break it down a little bit further how it works and my experience that I've had. So I mentioned before when I was unboxing it that my unit, the Ubolt Pro, comes with the bridge. And the bridge, like I mentioned before, is what connects to Wi-Fi and then therefore connects the bridge's Bluetooth to the Ubolt Pro itself, because the lock itself is only Bluetooth, which makes sense because it's battery operated. It obviously cannot connect to Wi-Fi. So that being said, the bridge is actually optional technically. You don't really need it, but in my experience it is necessary because it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me to not have it. And the reason for that is mainly because you can't control it away from home, and not only controlling the lock, say for some person that may be coming over you want to let in, but you also can't send any commands to the lock, such as adjusting your user's time of entrance, or maybe making a change to one of your users to allow access at different times of days, or like I said, you just maybe want to unlock it from the app for someone, and you just can't do that unless you have the bridge. But if you don't ever see yourself needing it for those reasons, you could save 50 bucks and get it without the bridge. Now, a couple other things that I set up after the initial part of this video was the Google Assistant and Alexa integration, which works really well. I've only needed it, I haven't really actually needed it to use in an actual use case situation, but they do work pretty well. I'll give you a quick example. Alexa, unlock the front door.
What's your voice code for front door?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Unlocking. Hang on.
Okay, I just heard it
Front door
unlock.
is unlocked.
I just heard it unlock upstairs as well. Alexa, lock the front door.
Locking. Hang on.
And I just heard it lock.
The front door is locked.
Now, the app itself has been working really well. I've had no major issues. Sometimes when you open the app for the first time after it being closed, let me just show you here. It takes a good 5, 6, 7 seconds to connect via Bluetooth, either from the bridge or from your phone. It's kind of trying to figure out which one is the best. In this case, you can see the Bluetooth symbol at the top there. It is directly connected to the lock. It just takes 5 seconds to connect. It's not that big of a deal. I have had, in the past 3 weeks, I've had 2 firmware updates, so that's always a good sign. We can go into Ultra Lock status, and this is a cool feature I didn't notice before. You can just completely lock out the system, and it turns it completely dumb. The only way you can unlock it is with the key. So you can't unlock it with the app anymore. You can't use your fingerprint. If you just want to go Stone Age with it, you can just quickly click lock out, and that's it. So that's a nice feature. And I found out why when I was unboxing it and setting it up the first time, that it kept locking itself automatically, and that's of course auto lock. So auto lock will, if you enable it, you can set the time up to 5 minutes, down to 10 seconds, or sorry, up to 5 minutes, yeah, down to 10 seconds. It will automatically lock the door after it's unlocked. And it's not something that I use, and I will show you why in just a minute, but it is a nice feature if that's something that you could use. And auto unlock is another feature that I've been messing with, been toying with for a while, and it's just not working well for me. And this is one of my cons of the product. Now, I tried it with my phone, with my wife's phone, and neither of ours are working reliably with this system. And that is basically what happens is, once you tick enable auto lock, of course, it gets your location on the phone where you're at. And you can even see right now that you can see that the lock is on the corner of this street here, which is my actual home, and the little guy that thinks it's me is way down here. So the location just isn't accurate, and that very well be our devices, but it just doesn't work well. And the way it's supposed to work is when you get back home and you're near the lock and your phone connects to Bluetooth to the lock, then it will unlock the lock for you and you can walk right in without having to do anything. And I tried it 10 different times with each of our devices, and walking up to it, it's locked still. And that's really frustrating when it doesn't work the first time, especially if your hands are full and you have to do a different method that you weren't expecting to use. Even though fingerprint's really easy, it just isn't something that worked reliably for us, so that's not something we use. Now, another feature is the Magic Shake. As you can see here, when I was installing it on the door, I did test it out and it worked fine, but it is in beta, and it seemed to not work every time, and it's just a quirky feature. And another thing about it is running in the background. As you can see here, you get a notification that it runs on the back end, and it probably eats up a little bit more battery than you want it to. It's just not something that I would use too often, so that's why I don't have it enabled. But it is a nice little quirky feature if it's something that you could see yourself using. Maybe have the kids unlock the door that way or something. Okay, so moving on to smart notifications. It's something that works really well, and it is very handy. So you can create your own smart notifications. I have 4 different ones set up. And the first one is notify me every time the door is locked or unlocked manually. I'll get a notification, pretty simple. Notify me when a specific person unlocks or locks the door. And in this case, I have neighbor set up, and I also have dog walker set up. I don't actually have a dog walker, just an example. And notify me every time the door is auto locked, which I have auto lock turned off, as you saw, but it's in there anyway. So if we want to create a new smart notification, just click the button at the bottom there, and I have the bottom 2 already set up. The top one would be by a specific user, and let me just select my wife there. Let's do mom actually, and done. And then we can have it let us know anytime or at a scheduled time period where maybe you don't want mom coming over at a certain time, so you want it to send you a notification, something like that. But I'll just do anytime in this case. So now whenever my mom, which is a different user, opens the door, I'll get a notification. Speaking of users, let's go into that section here. So we've got myself, the owner, which I have Fingerprint, a code, and the app installed so I can use my app. My wife currently doesn't have a fingerprint set up, which she can easily add 2 different fingerprints. She just hasn't done it yet. And she has a password and an app herself. And then we can see the mom, neighbor, and dog walker all have just a code set up, and they're unique codes. So they each have their own code they can use. And that's how it tells me as the owner which person is actually using the code, therefore using the lock, and therefore entering my house. So if I did want to add a new user, there are different user types. So an admin can do anything, anything I can do. Normal user can unlock via fingerprint code or the app, and can always unlock or lock via the app. Can always auto unlock via the app as well. So if you want to set up that auto unlock with the geofencing, if that does work for you, a normal user can do that. It's basically the same thing as an admin, but an admin can change and delete users as well. So the temporary user is what mom, the dog walker, and the neighbor is set up as. And they can use an app and set up their own account, and we can add them as a user. But we can set time limits with not only the app access, but also with a code or fingerprint access. So let's say the neighbor wants to add their fingerprint to our lock. We can give them their own code. They can make their own UTech account and access our lock, but we can set different time frames. Neighbor number 2. And this is where you can add a fingerprint right away, but we're going to skip that. And then we can give them the code. Let's do 2468. That's their code. And now you can email them a code to set up an account and all that, but we're going to skip that as well. And this is where we can set a schedule. So if we want them to only be able to access it at certain times of the day or certain days, this is where you can do that. You can also set a limit of how many times they can use it. Say they need to come in the house 4 times in the next month for whatever reason. You can set this for 4, and if they try to come in a 5th time, it just won't let them. Now this is sending all the information to the lock. So now all of this that we just set up is stored on the lock locally, and we don't have to worry about it having an internet or Bluetooth connection when the neighbor 2 goes to use it. Now if you do want to go into any one of these, you can just simply disable it completely so you don't have to worry about a schedule. And now there's a line crossed through the face there. You could also add a picture to each one of these to help organize things. So let's say neighbor number 1 needs to come over for some eggs and we're not home. Well, without the bridge, that wouldn't even be possible. But since we have the bridge, we could either go into the lock and unlock it via this button here, or we can go into their user, and as long as they have access with their schedule, they're not impeding on a scheduled time or anything, then we can go ahead and enable and check the schedule, and we can see that it's pretty open all the way from till next year, and it's open every day of the week at all times. So we don't have to worry about that as long as they're enabled and they know their password that they set up in setting it up. They can go ahead and let themselves in, and then we can go ahead and disable it when they're done, and away they go, no issues. Pretty handy. Like I said, not possible if you don't have the bridge. So for those kind of situations, it would definitely be pretty necessary. So I have to say that my favorite feature of the whole thing is probably the fingerprint. I've had no issues as far as it not unlocking with my fingerprint. I set up both of my fingers and they both work 100% of the time. I've never had an issue with it not unlocking or disconnecting or something, because everything is local on the lock once you send the information to it via Bluetooth. So you don't have to worry about it actually being connected to Bluetooth from your phone in order for the fingerprint or the code to unlock the door. Speaking of the code, it's called an anti-peep technology within the code entering process. So as long as you have your 4 to 6 or 4 to 8 digit code somewhere within a broad variety of numbers that you punch in, it will work. So let's say your code is 1234, you can enter 675341234846914, and as long as you have those 4 in there and then push the ultra lock button, it will unlock. So if you're in an apartment building or something where there might be someone around you, that's a nice feature because they don't know which one of those 4 is actually the right code. So another great feature, but my favorite one is probably not only the ability to unlock it with your fingerprint, but all the other features built in as well that make it the product that it is. As far as construction, it's solid, no issues, waterproof, no issues in the rain and snow that we've had recently. I also really like the design of the hidden manual lock. So you just flip it down, it's super easy to access the manual lock if you need it, but as robust as the fingerprint and the pin lock is, you'll probably very rarely need it. So why have it out in the open if just to make it look ugly? Okay, so lastly, another great feature is that it connects with IFT. So the ability to connect with IFT allows you to connect it with everything else that connects with IFT, of course. And one of the main ones for my case is something like SmartThings or Wise, or something that has a contact sensor that you can put on the door. So right now I have a SmartThings connected contact sensor on the door. So that's why I told you that I have auto lock turned off. So this is why I have this applet set up. If front door sensor is closed, then lock the front door. So I have the SmartThings connected sensor on the front door, and when it senses that that is closed, then the lock will lock, and it works every time. I don't think we've had an issue in the last 3 weeks with it automatically closing. Of course, we double check, but as we're going up the stairs, we can hear it lock, and so we just have that peace of mind that it is actually locked. Now, another way to use some of the features built into this is, say, with IFT and the users, section of the app. So you can have one of your users, let's say the dog walker, you can have it set up for when they put in their PIN number, only works through a certain time of day. When they put in their password and unlocks the door, you can have that send through IFT, maybe through SmartThings if you have that set up to turn on all the lights for, say, 20 or 30 minutes, and maybe unlock the security system in the house. And this would be good for all sorts of guests that don't know how to use, your smart home, your SmartThings system, and just wants the lights turned on to play with your dogs for a little bit, to get the leash and get back out the house and lock the door. And then when they come back, the lights will come back on again. It's just a way that, you could have this set up, as opposed to not knowing who may or may not be coming into the house, whether it's a user or if it's a bad guy. So, and it's secure because they're having to enter their password through the Ubolt. So it's not just, an unsecure thing running through IFT. It's actually going to be secure because you know that it's password protected. And I've had no issues with reliability on the lock itself. Now, I told you the auto unlock with the geolocation is a little bit iffy for us, as well as the, the beta unlock by turning thingy. And, that's in beta, so you can't really complain about that. So if the auto unlock is something that you would, it's make or break for you, your mileage may vary, but if that's the reason that you would purchase this, you may want to wait until it gets a little bit better or a different product comes out. But if you're not too worried about that, then I would go ahead and recommend this product to you. It is worth the price for me, in my opinion. Alright guys, that's it for this one. I do apologize for rambling. If you are still here to the end, you are the real MVP. I would appreciate it if you would check me out on Patreon. Support me $1 a month, $5 a month. Anything helps, it all adds up, and I will be able to produce more content, more videos for you guys each week, and therefore, you know, we can all learn and grow in this smart home weird space, and we can all learn together. So that's it for this one. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.